ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. I trust you enjoyed your lunch and are feeling suitably well fed and watered. I want to thank everyone who submitted a bid during the silent auction. If I may, ladies and gentlemen, please. Order at the back. I want to thank everyone who submitted a bid during the silent auction. I couldn't help notice the case of wine and champagne. Afternoon tea received bids very quickly, which I think says a lot about the people in the room. And don't forget, we have our live auction later this afternoon. If anyone wishes to donate, don't forget you can place cash in the white envelopes or make a card donation in the foyer as well. During lunch, you will have seen that there were numerous ways to raise money for Headway. You don't have to jump out of a plane, run a marathon or climb a mountain, but for those of you who do like a little adrenaline in their lives, we might just have something to pique your interest. Next year, Headway brings you something a little different to your usual corporate fundraisers. Escape the Wild for Headway, sponsored by No. 5 Barristers Chambers, will be an action-packed event that will challenge you and your colleagues, provide plenty of thrills and spills, require teamwork and bonding, and ultimately give you a great opportunity to generate sponsorship. Taken to a remote location, you will have to work as a team to crack codes and navigate your way back to civilization, tackling gorges, river crossings, and high peaks along the way. If you fancy putting your bravery to the test, then please do speak to Headway representative Amber Rose Perry, or check out our website for more information to sign up. Amber, please can you give us a wave? Amber? Where's Amber? Amber Rose Perry? There she is. There's Amber. If you'd like to take part in that fantastic challenge, Escape the Wild for Headway, please go and find Amber, either before, during, or after the rest of the speeches. Just in case there's anyone in this room still in need of reason to support this incredible charity, and I find it hard to believe there is, given all we've seen so far, I'd like to now introduce you to someone who can help persuade you. 3 years ago, Dave Thomas sustained a brain injury while playing rugby. A fierce tackle caused a severe whiplash effect as Dave fell backwards, forcing his brain forward against his skull. At the time, Dave had no idea how serious his injury was and the huge impact it would go on to have on his career and his relationships. I'm delighted that Dave has joined us to tell us more. Dave, please join us on the stage, and please join me in welcoming Dave.
A bit disappointed that wasn't the Proclaimers, given the...
We'll get that for you next time. Now, Dave, I mean, it's been a tough journey for you. As a rugby correspondent myself, someone who's spent a lot of time, I understand a lot of the challenges facing rugby and other head injury sports which involve collisions. But can you tell us a little bit about your story? What's your history of brain injury? What's your journey?
So my journey started quite young in terms of brain injuries and rugby. I was a teenager. I think my competitiveness probably outweighed my ability, and this side of the room probably can't see what my nose looks like, but I think the physical scars are fairly obvious, but the internal ones, the psychological, I suppose, trauma off the back of brain injuries is something that I just didn't take seriously, like most people back then playing rugby. The first brain injury I ever had, I was unconscious for nearly an hour. I can hear all the rumours around the room. And yet it's going to be an even bigger groan in a minute, because I went to hospital, I was kept in for observation overnight, I was out the next day, and I was back playing rugby the following week. And that's how it was, until people like you came along, Sam, to be honest. I've lost count of the number of concussions and brain injuries I've had in my career. I genuinely couldn't tell you, but I've obviously had 2 or 3 fairly traumatic ones, most recently the one you mentioned a few years ago.
Yep. And I mean, obviously, again, something I've realised over the last 10 years or so working in this space is just how much families play a role here in supporting you. And I know Helen, who's here today, has been an amazing support for you. I mean, can you say a few words about what she's done to keep you?
I think she should probably stand up first, just so everyone
Helen,
can see.
You
This is my wonderful wife, Helen. I mean, obviously, I've talked to quite a lot of people in the room and the people on our table, and you know, the stories of partners supporting victims and people whose partners are staying at home to look after their son at the moment. And I'm fairly sure I speak for everybody in the room when I say a massive thank you to everybody who's supported those of us who've been through something like this. Obviously, I've got to hold this bit together, but you know, I wouldn't be here without Helen. So, thanks.
And you found a pretty unusual way to say thank you to her, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't know this bit was going to be on here. But yeah. Do I have to tell you about it? Or you?
I would like to hear a little bit about it.
You don't want me to sing it, do you? No. Look, listen, one of my issues, one of my symptoms of brain injury is I have very poor disinhibition, which I'm sure lots of people can relate to. And so I thought it was
for a rugby player.
Exactly. So I thought it was a really good idea to organise a flash mob and basically sing to Helen in a really busy restaurant with a full brass band. So yeah.
Are we going to have a little look at that? I think, aren't we?
Jesus.
Strictly girl, you don't play around. Very much very up in my house. It's a fortune every day. Can't get you out of my mind. I think about you, girl, all the time. I like the way you look at me. I like the way you look at me.
So some free entertainment there for you as well.
Well, Mark Allman wasn't able to join us, but we had Dave Thomas instead. But Dave, that was fantastic. I mean, you hold a pretty good note there, don't you? Mr. Calling? Maybe not. Now, Dave, I mean, just can you say a little bit about, you know, how you also see that perhaps rugby might have changed at the moment as well? And I mean, do you see a difference in the way that rugby you were playing as a semi-professional back in the mid to late 90s? Do you think there's been a cultural change there?
I think there's more awareness, and I think that's a good thing, and there are at least protocols in place. I think you and I both know there's still a lot more work needs to be done. I think, try not to be too political on it, but I think certain people have still got their head buried in the sand a little bit. So.
Yeah, fair enough. But Dave, you know, you're a fantastic ambassador for people with head injuries, and I mean, what you've continued to do has been really amazing. Now, in the last, you're going to tell us about this incredible walk that you did from John O'Groats to Land's End with your daughter Willow. I'm right in saying 4 years old at the time.
Yep, that's right.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what this experience was like, and you know, what drove you to do it, and you know, the role that Willow played as well?
So Willow was kind of the motivation in some ways. During lockdown, as I'm sure everyone remembers, you were only allowed outside of your house for 1 hour of the day, and basically we started walking together. I was in a very low place, trying to come to terms with what I'd been through and try to understand it a little bit more and think about the future. And I was very low one day, and she basically said to me, "What makes you happy, Daddy?" And I said, "You know, going for walks with you." So she said, "Let's go for a walk." And so obviously I do everything by extremes. So we walked 1,234 miles, a very serendipitous number. Willow joined me for about 500 miles of that, the vast majority of which she did actually walk. If not, she was on my back. Yeah, it took me 59 days. I wild camped all the way up. And I was just saying to, I don't mind me pointing out there, Dudley, but I was just saying to Dudley on our table that what fascinated me so much was I've had so few conversations about brain injuries in my immediate family and friends growing up. And then doing this walk, when people found out the reason I was doing it, I don't think I went a single day without someone wanting to share their story or a family member or themselves. And it just made me realize how prevalent this is and how many people have suffered. And so that was the other real motivation. It wasn't just the money raised. It was, I suppose, selfishly as well, if I'm honest. It was a physical journey as a bit of a metaphor for me for the psychological and traumatic journey that I've been on as well.
That's amazing. I mean, I can't get my 5-year-old daughter to walk 500 metres, let alone 500 miles. So what an amazing little girl Willow sounds. I'm no doubt inheriting her mum.
So it's all her mum.
Well, inheriting her mum's talents, no doubt. But I'm sure you played a huge role as well. But I mean, what a fantastic thing to do. I mean, why Headway? Why did you decide that Headway was the charity that you'd want to raise the money for?
So again, I really want to stress how ignorant I was about brain injuries before, even after it had happened to me. I was telling you earlier, of the first one I had when I was 16, unsurprisingly, a week later, I was diagnosed with depression after being a very happy child, and nobody put two and two together. No one ever mentioned a brain injury. It just wasn't something that I knew anything about. I always used to put a brave face on everything. You always want to be a warrior in sport and fight through that stuff. And it was only when I finally accepted there was a problem, and again, after my amazing wife, who'd stood by me through a lot of really difficult times, when I really realized I needed to do something, I realized I had no idea where to turn. And then I found Headway. And the resources and the support were literally life-saving. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Headway and for the support of my family. So.
Well, that's an amazing testament to a fantastic charity
Thank
and
you.
the very reason we're all here today. Dave, well said. Amazing words. Now, just one little word about an amazing little girl, Willow. I mean, you had your moments in the sun, I suppose. At the end, you completed this amazing walk.
Thankfully, not the sun.
Well,
it was GMB, yeah.
In the shade, but the limelight, perhaps. And but Willow was with you as well, wasn't she? After you'd raised this £15,000 and completed this walk, and she stole the limelight a little bit, didn't she?
She did. We got a last-minute call from Good Morning Britain saying, can you basically finish in the next hour? And I was about 5 miles away. So she basically chucked her on my shoulder and we legged it so that they could record a little piece. And yeah, I mean, anyone who's ever met a 4-year-old knows that you don't stand a chance in comparison.
Don't work with children and animals. Well, I think we're going to have a little look at that clip now, aren't we?
Now, when Dave Thomas found out he had a brain injury from playing rugby, he sank into a deep depression. The only thing that kept him going was walks with his little girl, Willow. Now he and the 4-year-old have just finished the ultimate trek from Land's End to John O'Groats, raising money for the brain injury charity Headway.
Just getting out there in nature, moving and making sure that you have time to process things is incredibly therapeutic. I genuinely feel a completely different person.
I love walking with Daddy because I saw a cow poo.
Hey, it's all about the little things in life, isn't it? Dave, I can tell you, has now raised over £15,000 for Headway. So congratulations to him and Willow. Back to you.
Fantastic. Brilliant charity as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a fantastic interview. What a lovely way to end as well. To Dave Thomas, a huge round of applause. To Helen and to Willow and to everyone who supported them on their journey.
Thank
Many
you.
thanks indeed. Dave, thanks again for joining us today and supporting Headway. Sharing one's personal experiences to an audience of strangers takes a huge amount of courage, so a huge thanks to Dave for his honesty and sense of fun as well. It's now time to hand out a few more awards, but before we return to our finalists, we're going to honour 2 individuals who have gone to great lengths to improve life after brain injury. In September of this year, after more than 2 decades leading Headway and 42 years working in the third sector, Peter McCabe retired as Chief Executive of Headway. To talk a little bit more about the impact Peter had on the charity, please welcome onto the stage the former Chair of Trustees at Headway, Andrew Green.
First of all, sorry, Peter. I knew you weren't expecting this. When Peter joined us in 2001, he took us through 2 decades of change, working with Headway, working with the groups and branches, and has achieved marvellous things. He's done a truly remarkable job developing Headway into UK's leading brain injury charity, supporting brain injury survivors and families. He steered the charity through good times and through bad times, steadily growing our income, growing our reserves, which was important, really important recently when we were coming through the pandemic, and that was vividly illustrated that we needed that money in order to survive. But Peter is particularly proud of 2 things that he was instrumental in: developing Headway's most valuable and important services, the Justice Project, the Emergency Fund. Indeed, it's fitting that both of these programs have recently passed significant milestones. More than 10,000 Headway brain injury identity cards are in circulation today, with over £500,000 distributed to 3,000 families in need of urgent assistance as a result of brain injury of a loved one. Everyone who has received support from Headway over the past 2 decades owes Peter a great debt of gratitude. His passion for social justice, his determination to improve life for all after brain injury has to be admired. Directly and indirectly, he has changed so many lives and helped so many people. And it's fair to say that he now deserves the rest that he's getting now that he has retired. Peter, everybody at Headway says thank you. Everybody at Headway wishes you a long, happy retirement and hope that you will now have time to enjoy Hector, to enjoy your family, and to get a rest. And would you like to come up and receive this award, special award, a one-off, on behalf of the trustees and the groups and branches of Headway?
Incredibly well deserved. Congratulations on your retirement, Peter. Absolutely fantastic. What an amazing tribute to a phenomenal piece of service. Thank you. Andrew, if you could stay with us for a moment, thank you. Now, of his many notable skills, Peter's ability to nurture and develop staff was prevalent throughout his career, particularly at Headway. Following a rigorous recruitment process, a new chief executive has been appointed, and I'm delighted to invite him onto the stage to present an award to another of our special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the new chief executive of Headway, Luke Griggs.
Thank you, Sam. I'd like to extend my own personal thanks to Peter on his retirement, while adding a note of thanks for the work that he's done. And I had the pleasure of reporting to Peter directly for 15 years. I learned an awful lot in that time, some of it actually quite useful. I too, Peter, wish you a very, very happy retirement, a well-deserved retirement. Thank you. Andrew Green rightly acknowledged Peter's commitment to Headway over many, many years. What he failed to mention, however, is that after 13 years of acting as chair of the trustees at Headway, Andrew Green stepped down from that role at the July general meeting for the charity. During that time, Andrew made an outstanding contribution to the charity, with his leadership attributed as one of the key reasons for Headway's success. He showed wisdom, sound judgment, and courage, and commitment to supporting those affected by brain injury in an exceptional way. And he remains doing so to this day. I'm delighted to say that Andrew has agreed to stay on the board as a co-opted trustee for a little bit longer, and we are very grateful for his contribution will continue. And on behalf of the trustees and the staff, past and present, I'd like to offer you, Andrew, a debt of gratitude. Yep, you two don't get away with actually the embarrassment of having an award on stage. Over the years, Headway has developed important relationships with politicians willing to champion the causes of those affected by brain injury. Many have become Headway parliamentary champions, speaking regularly on behalf of survivors or promoting the work of the charity in debates in parliaments around the UK. There are not many politicians, however, that are more committed and passionate about brain injury than Chris Bryant MP. In addition to being a published author, as I recently discovered, Chris is the Member of Parliament for the Rhondda and has chaired the all-party parliamentary group on acquired brain injury since its relaunch in November 2017. Since then, he has tirelessly campaigned to improve access to brain injury rehabilitation and support services at all stages of the care pathway for anyone affected by brain injury. And in what can only be described as a remarkable achievement, in December last year, Chris succeeded in persuading Boris Johnson to develop a cross-party governmental strategy on ABI. Since then, Chris has been at the heart of extensive work to understand what change is needed, while bringing together various government departments to develop new and equitable ways of supporting brain injury survivors and carers. Whether visiting Headway groups and branches, speaking at the charity's conferences, or speaking up for survivors in Parliament, Chris is a true Headway champion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris onto the stage to receive a special award for improving life after brain injury.
Thank you very much. I didn't get the grey suit memo, by the way. And I've got a little bit of shingles at the moment, hence the turtleneck. Look, first of all, on Wednesday morning, actually, no, I'll start with Sam Peters, actually, because for me, this all started with Sam Peters. I got an email from the Mail on Sunday on a Saturday morning, and MPs don't normally like emails from the Mail on Sunday on a Saturday morning. It normally means you're about to be done over. And he wanted somebody to understand a bit more about what I would then have called concussion in rugby, but I now want to call brain injury in rugby. And And that kind of started the relationship that we've had over the years. And actually with quite a few Conservative, I'm Labour, obviously. Well done. Anyway. But I actually worked very closely with Chris Heaton-Harris, who's now the Northern Ireland Secretary, and John Glenn, who's the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, on trying to get together national protocols on all sports. Because a child that plays football one day may play netball the next day, may play basketball or something completely differently. So you've got to have the same across all the sports. And that then spread to talking about acquired brain injury. Now, I'm afraid I'm going to be very rude. I'm going to give you this back today for a very simple reason. I'm co-chairing the National Strategy Programme Board in the government to try and have a national strategy across every part of government on acquired brain injury. And I don't want to take anything until we've got a national strategy. So I hope I'll be able to come back next year, if you could keep it warm. But I don't think I should get a silver plate until such time as we actually have a national strategy. Because, Dave, you said earlier that you can see the, obviously if you're Welsh, you'd be die. But anyway, but you said you could see the kind of hole in the head, as it were. But of course, for most people with brain injury, there's no outward sign at all. And half of what we're trying to do is deal with the stigma of people not understanding that the person standing in front of you in the queue, no, they're not drunk. They're slurring their words because they've not remembered your name because they've had a brain injury. And so trying to transform that, let alone on Wednesday morning in Parliament, we had this absolutely the most amazing session I can remember in my life. And I've been an MP for 21 years. It was about kids who've had brain injury. And we had a room full. There was Amelia, there was Eden, there was Spike, who's quite amazing. They all talked about the isolation they'd felt when they'd had a brain injury in their teenage years. And then there was Oscar, who is now 7, who'd had a major stroke when he was 6. And you know, all the stories that the families were telling about being pushed from pillar to post and schools not understanding and the kids losing all their friends and all of those things. It was just the most, in one sense, heartwarming, because every single one of those children was absolutely amazing, and also the most upsetting session that I've had in all my time in Parliament. So thank you very much for all of this. And Peter, you've been an absolutely amazing person. There can't be many people in the charity field in Britain who've achieved as much as you have. So an enormous thank you because I've met so many people now with brain injuries who've been helped by Headway, and a lot of that is down to you personally and the charity that you helped build over the years. So to Peter, a big round of applause, please. And if it's all right, I'll come back next year when we will, I swear to God, have a Labour... No, have a... Stop. I'm being naughty. Stop it. No, when we will, I hope to God, I swear to God, I will do everything in my power to make sure that we have a national strategy for acquired brain injury so nobody gets pushed from pillar to post, so everybody gets the neurorehabilitation that they really receive, so that we have proper protocols, so that everybody in education and in the Department for Work and Pensions understands brain injury and is able to support people rather than make them spend all their energy on dealing with the system rather than trying to mend their own brains. That's what we will do. Thank you very much.
Well, what absolutely inspiring words there, Chris. Thank you so much for your kind words as well. I think you're rocking the turtleneck, but I mean, more importantly, absolutely, you know, a real force for good within Parliament, and I'm sure everyone in here shares my support for Chris and what he's doing. Absolutely fantastic. So, let's get back to some more Headway heroes and more awards. Please welcome back to the stage Mr. James Cracknell. So without further ado, firstly, it's the Carer of the Year Award, which is sponsored by Bar Ellison Solicitors, and Mark Copley from the firm is going to help us present this award. Mark, if you could join us on the stage, please. Now, brain injury affects more than just the individual. It can have a major impact on families and carers too, changing family dynamics and relationships in an instant. The supportive role that partners, parents, family or friends can play can be crucial in giving someone the courage and help to rebuild their life after brain injury. Let's find out a little bit more about the finalists in this category.
Yoo-hoo! That was one of Ian Henderson's most favourite sayings. Every time he came into the room, it would be yoo-hoo! So that's especially for Beth, Ian and Tracy. Beth, you're such an amazing wife and carer to Ian in the last few years when he needed that extra support. I don't know how you've managed with all your health conditions for yourself and with coping with Ian. He was a lovely man, full of surprises all the time, but very caring and loved to have a joke and a laugh. And I can't think of anybody more deserving than Beth for this award. So here's rooting for you, Beth, and everyone else. We did a special recording of one of Ian's favourite songs, so hope you get a wee clip over the top.
Michelle, she's alright, you know.
Everybody feel really welcome. She's no pretensions with Michelle. She's down to earth. She looks after everybody like she's their mum. She's brilliant. She's fantastic.
She cares not just for her husband Tommy, but for her mum, Tommy's mum, all her aunties, all of us at Headway.
She's brought in a military boot camp physio that puts Tommy through his paces every week, even did it remotely during COVID to make sure that the progress he'd made didn't go backwards.
I was happy, and that's really important to people like me.
Michelle is just the most loving, giving human being any of us have met. Tommy is one of the luckiest men alive to have her as his partner.
Your life revolves around brain injury, supporting with everyday life, appointments, medications, and making sure everyone is where they should be when they're supposed to be. As well as this, you take care of Mia, Yasmin, your mum, all who have disabilities as well, and you homeschool Vinny and Mia. When COVID hit, you was the first person in your village to coordinate a food bank and a prescription service for those that were isolating. You've put hundreds of hours volunteering time into Headway Lincolnshire, and there are so many people out there, including myself, that are thankful that you are in our lives. You really are a superwoman to us. Thank you.
And so our first finalist from Headway East Lothian is Beth Henderson. Now, Beth can't be with us in person today, but we're delighted to be joined by Beth's son, Ian. Beth's journey of caring for her late husband Ian started just after his 65th birthday when he had a stroke. Ian went on to experience a series of additional strokes and as a result developed vascular dementia. Agency care staff were brought on board as Ian's health deteriorated, but as Beth and Ian lived in a rural area, it was unreliable, and Beth was often left to pick up the pieces. As the strokes continued, Ian lost peripheral vision on his left-hand side and had to have his lower left leg amputated to stop any further clots. But Beth was adamant that she wanted to care at home for Ian. She devoted her own life to her husband's, enabling him to live at home where they could look out onto their garden, watching the seasons change and hearing the birds sing. It's clear that Beth made sure that Ian had the best quality of life he could in the time they had together. Sadly, Ian died earlier this year, and with Beth's permission, I'd like to read her description of that time. Towards the end, Ian slept a lot, but he still always had that same sparkle in his eye. On the day he died, I said to him, "Oh, you're looking lovely." To which he asked me, "Do you still fancy me?" "Oh, definitely," she replied. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause, please, for Ian on behalf of his mum, Beth. Our second finalist from Headway, Lincolnshire is Nicola Strong. Nicola also can't be with us today in person, but we are delighted to be joined by Anne-Marie Smith from Headway, Lincolnshire. Anne-Marie. Nicola's journey with brain injury began in 2008 when her boyfriend Tony sustained a traumatic brain injury in a horrific fall at work. Tony was airlifted to hospital, where he spent several months in an induced coma and later suffered ventilator-assisted pneumonia. To complicate matters, Nicola was 6 months pregnant at the time. With Nicola's constant support, Tony began to rebuild his life back at home. They got married and in 2011 had a second child, Vinny. Tragically, however, Vinny sustained a brain injury due to the lack of oxygen during a complicated birth. Further tragedy was to follow when in 2019, Nicola's dad, David, suffered an ischemic stroke, which came out of the blue. Showing inspirational courage and determination, Nicola has continued to care for Tony, her husband, their son, Vinny, and her dad, David, as well as other members of her family. If that wasn't enough, Nicola incredibly finds the time and energy to also volunteer at Headway, Lincolnshire. An amazing contribution to this charity, so thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause, please, for Nicola Strong. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 2022 Carer of the Year Award, sponsored by Barr Ellison Solicitors, from Headway Sefton, is Michelle Kelly. Michelle and her partner Tommy had been dating for a few years when Tommy, a Territorial Army volunteer, sustained a traumatic brain injury while on a works night out by slipping on ice and hitting his head on the ground. Michelle has fought tirelessly to help Tommy regain aspects of his old life, even recruiting 2 Army physicians to try and help him learn how to walk again. As well as caring for Tommy's complex needs, Michelle holds down a full-time job whilst also looking after their respective families and has taken up a voluntary role at Headway Sefton. Michelle was nominated for Carer of the Year by a fellow volunteer at Headway Sefton, Catherine Johnston. She said, "Michelle is always the first to point out the positives in her life. She's a shining example of authentic love. Headway Sefton would be lost without Michelle, and God only knows what life would be like for Tommy without her selfless devotion and obvious loving care. If anyone deserves acknowledgement for the example they set for the rest of humanity, then it would be Michelle, every single time." Michelle, many congratulations.
I need it, give me your all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 2022 Carer of the Year Award, sponsored by Barr Ellison Solicitors, Michelle Kelly. Thank you to Barr Ellison Solicitors. Now, on to our final category, the Stephen McAleese Outstanding Contribution to Headway Award, sponsored by number 5 Barristers Chambers. This award is named after a young man in recognition of his own outstanding contribution to Headway. Stephen McAleese defied the effects of his own brain injury by dedicating his life to helping others. He was passionate, caring, and determined to do all he could to improve life for other people affected by brain injury before he sadly passed away in 2010. Stephen's mum, Susan, alongside Evelyn Vincent, has agreed to help present this special award, so please welcome them onto the stage alongside John Coughlin, KC from number 5 Barristers Chambers. Force of habit. Your sunshine, shining down. Your sunshine, your sunshine, your sunshine, shining down. Now, before we meet our finalists, let's hear a little bit more about what makes them outstanding.
Dee Blackwell is massively deserving of this award. She is completely selfless with her time, her compassion. She never says no to helping someone else, even if it is at her own expense. Her instinct is to protect and to fight for other people who need it, and she very much deserves recognition.
Dee's work with Headway Huddersfield and District is invaluable. Not only has she helped members fight the DWP, but she's also helped tackle problems within the local authority.
Dee, you're amazing. Thank you for all your support.
I just want to say how enormously grateful we are to Chris. He and Alex went through a real trauma. She's made an incredible recovery. They could have got on with their very busy, very demanding lives, but Chris decided that he wanted to make a difference, and we know he doesn't do it for the accolades or the recognition, but he absolutely deserves all of them.
Thanks for everything, Chris. Thanks for your hard work. Thanks for raising money, Chris. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thanks, Chris, for raising money for Headway. Thanks, Chris, for raising money for Headway. You're a very good man. Best luck, my man.
Thank you very much, Chris, for all the stuff you've done for Headways. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris, for your hard work. We are unbelievably grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for everything you've done for Headway.
Thank you, Chris, for raising money for Headway. It's been a real help.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Everyone at Headway appreciates all your hard work for us.
Thanks, Chris.
Good luck, Dean! Good luck, Dean, from all of your colleagues at the Royal London Hospital Better Together project. You're our superstar.
Dean is amazing. He is a wonderful human being, a wonderful colleague. He brings something that I cannot do. He brings his experience with his brain injury. I like his sense of humor, his spontaneity, his easygoing, and also I love what he has achieved from before his injury and after the injury.
It's such an honour to work with Dean. His dedication to supporting people dealing with a new brain injury is astounding. He gives people hope and motivates and encourages those who are struggling in a way that no one else can. I'm supposed to be the mentor in our relationship, but I learned so much more from him than he'll ever learn from me. He's an absolute inspiration, a true one in a million, and we all love him to bits.
Now, let's meet them. First up, from Headway Huddersfield, Dee Blackwell.
The
Now, Dee's son Gareth was just 19 years old when he sustained 2 catastrophic brain injuries. Since then, Dee has constantly lobbied for Gareth and other brain injury survivors to have access to the best possible support. Dee has shown an unwavering determination in dealing with local authorities, GPs and the Department of Work and Pensions. On one occasion, when a brain injury survivor was facing withdrawal of his job seeker's allowance, Dee fought for 2 years to have his benefits reinstated. She attended a number of DWP tribunals until a judge ruled in the individual's favour based on the arguments presented by Dee. She then harangued the DWP until it finally made the agreed payments. Dee was nominated by Adrian Hawley, chairman of Headway Huddersfield and Districts Committee. He said, "Dee is like our Rottweiler. Once she gets her teeth into something, she does not let it go until the issue is resolved. She is an unsung hero, unsung no more, Adrian." Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for Dee Blackwell. Thank you for not biting, Dee. Our next finalist is from Headway Cardiff. Please welcome to the stage Chris Case. Now, Chris is a determined fundraiser from Cardiff who has raised more than £60,000 for his local Headway group after his wife Alex sustained a brain injury. During the aftermath of Alex's brain injury, the family received incredible support from their local rugby club, and Chris combined his love of rugby and passion for supporting people with brain injuries to form the Headway Cardiff Select 15 charity rugby team. As well as raising vital funds, the team increases awareness of brain injury in sport and the importance of identification and best practice when it comes to concussion. Chris was nominated by Headway Cardiff and South East Wales CEO Rebecca Pearce, and she said, "Chris doesn't do what he does for accolades, but is driven by altruism and the satisfaction of knowing he's made a difference and helped to improve the lives of people with brain injury. We find it difficult to thank Chris appropriately for all he has done. I think this will help, Rebecca." Please join me in congratulating Chris. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 Stephen McAleese Outstanding Contribution to Headway Awards, sponsored by Number 5 Barristers Chambers, from Headway East London, goes to Dean Harding. Definitely the reception of the afternoon. Fantastic. Dean was just 21 when he was assaulted at a nightclub, sustaining lifelong injuries in the process. His brain injury changed his life completely, with Dean dedicating his life to improving the lives of his fellow brain injury survivors. For the past 21 years, Dean has been a volunteer, an advocate, a campaigner, a friend. He has spoken to politicians, to commissioners, the media, basically anyone who will listen, and even some that would rather not, about brain injury and the need for more help to be provided to those affected. He has held several voluntary roles at Headway East London, including media officer, trustee and campaigner, but his finest achievement is helping to secure £140,000 of funding to support brain injury survivors through an early intervention service, which I think is worth a round of applause in itself. That £140,000 means support is given to patients at their hospital bedside to provide hope, education, emotional support and guidance following their brain injury. Natalie Clapshaw, Director of Development and Casework Manager at Headway East London, nominated Dean for the award. She said, Although a character... Stay here, Dean. You've got more to say. There's more to say. Although a character you will never forget meeting, Dean is quiet about the impact and achievements he has made. You could have fooled me. At Headway East London. It comes naturally to him that he would dedicate his life to those in need, providing a service he never got and one that would have been so helpful to him. Dean really does bring a sense of hope and energy to everyone he meets, our members at support groups, patients in hospital, and the staff team he is part of. He brings his whole self to everything he does, including accepting an award. So, Dean, absolutely fantastic. What an amazing contribution. Dean, thank you so much. Please.
Stay close to me. Watch the world come alive tonight. Stay close to me. Hold your head high. Hold on, arms open wide. Yeah, the world starts to come alive when you stay close to me. Today this could be the greatest day of our lives. Today this could be.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Harding there. Thank you and congratulations. What a reception. And thank you to Susan McAleese and to Evelyn Vincent as well for presenting this award, and John Coughlin from Number 5 Barristers Chambers for sponsoring it. Thank you so much. In fact, let's put our hands together for all 12 of our amazing finalists. Dean, you're worth the attendance fee alone. Fantastic. Now, if the stories you've heard today don't move you, you're made of sterner stuff than me. The effects can be devastating, but as we've seen today, with the right help at the right time, there can be life after brain injury. That help is often provided by inspirational volunteers such as Richard, Michael and Peter, who we honoured before lunch, or through the stewardship of the volunteer trustees. The reality, however, is that for Headway to continue to provide crucial frontline services such as its free phone helpline, the Emergency Fund, which has provided more than £500,000 in grants to thousands of families struggling to meet the financial implications of brain injury, or the innovative brain injury identity card, this charity needs your help. There is still time to make a donation, either in cash or via the charity's website. If you are lucky enough to win a silent auction lot, you can pay for this through the website or at the payment desk in the foyer, where you can also collect your item. If not, you have one last chance to bag a bargain, or perhaps more appropriately, an unexpected and extravagant Christmas present for someone special in your life. To tell you more, please give a huge welcome to our guest auctioneer, Mr. John Cameron.
Thank you very much. Well, I think we ought to get Kleenex to sponsor this event next year, because I don't think I've cried so much. Well, it was a great honour to be asked to do this event, and I hadn't heard of Headway before, I've got to be honest. Order! And when Eric rang me, you can't say no to Eric Knowles. You all know Eric. He's the godfather of the antiques world. And we first met, in fact, when I was about 27. I was just graduated from university. But at 15, I used to watch Eric on the Antiques Roadshow. I was with my granddad. And I remember saying to my granddad, I dream of growing up, I want to be like him. And I remember my granddad saying, it's kind of a strange dream for a 16-year-old boy, that, but all right. Anyway, so I got to university. I did my degree, 3 hard years of study. And they tell us at the end, today, you are going to be awarded your diplomas, your degrees, by Eric Knowles. He's here getting an honorary degree. He's that good, Eric. We had to work 3 years for it, and he gets given one. But he's a great guy. And fast forward 10, 15 years, I've now been presenting on one of the finest BBC daytime antiques programs that BBC license fee payers' money can buy. cash in the attic. And I get asked to do a show with Eric, my hero. And I couldn't wait. And we go to a Christmas party, and there he is. He comes into the room surrounded by adoring fans, mostly women. And I wait for my turn, and finally I say, Eric, the last time I saw you, we were at a graduation ceremony together, and we had a photograph together. We had our gowns, and I had my then 9-year-old daughter with me. And his face lit up, and I could tell by the look in his eyes that he didn't remember me at all. Anyway, we did a show together. We've become great friends. And as I say, when Eric asks you to stand in for him, there's a lot of pressure there. There's a lot of pressure because he's Eric Knowles. So you've got to help me out here today, guys. We've got to raise some money. Now, when I spoke to Eric and he asked me about the charity, I didn't know about the charity. And then I spoke to Luke and he said, have you had no friends or family with suffered head injuries? And I said, I have actually. A very good friend of mine. In fact, a friend of mine that was at my wedding. My wife's here tonight. A good friend of mine called Andy Baish, Peppy. He's known to his friends. And you may remember this. About 6 years ago, I think it was the European football finals in France. And I know if you remember those terrible scenes of the Russian supporters rampaging through and beating and stamping on a couple of guys. Well, one of those guys was Peppy. And at the time, we thought, oh my God, and it wasn't looking great. He was in a coma for several weeks, and we did what we could to get him home. And then I spoke to my friend Jeff. I was going to see him at the hospital. He pulled out of the coma. And I spoke to Jeff. Jeff was with him at the time. And I said, how is he? He said, well, you're going to be shocked. He's here. He's come round now. He said, and he's okay. He said, I was up there the other day with him. He said, and I was sitting there, and I noticed his toenails were really long. He said, so I brought some clippers up, and I got to start cutting his toenails. And I said, Jeff, I've got tears in my eyes here. That's friendship. And he said, well, dry your tears, John. I can only manage one foot, so if you want to finish the other one, the clippers are still there. Anyway, my wife and I went to the hospital, and we didn't know what to expect. And I saw him, and we sat down and we spoke, and he was sitting there, and, we were trying to reminisce. And all of a sudden, he said, you got to go now. I've got John and Vicky Cameron coming up to see me in a minute. And he shoved us out the room. And we were like, it was upsetting. And then the next time I saw him, he was in a much better place. And it was at a mutual friend's 50th. And he came in, and I saw him standing at the bar, and he had a glass in his hand. And I said, do you want to buy you a drink, Pep? He says, no, I'm drinking Coke. I said, you're not allowed to drink anymore, but for the treatment. He said, not really. He said, but I will have one in a minute. So I see him about 10 minutes later, and he's got a drink in his hand. I said, how's that? He said, yeah, it's all right, but I'm only going to have the one. I said, is it your medicine? He said, no, it's £6.50 a pint. And I said, welcome back, Pep. Anyway, I phoned Andy Peppy the other day and spoke to him and told him I was doing this, and he told me exactly what Headway had done for him, and that the continued support he's getting from them. In fact, he had a meeting that week with Headway Portsmouth. So it is a great delight to be here today, to actually get to know and see that with the people here. It's my first time, but I can see already that this is more than a charity. It seems like a family. It seems like you really do support each other. And there's some great stars in here tonight, not least of all this man here. So, without further ado, let us start with the auction and see whether we can do some justice to Eric and to this great charity. So, we've got our spotters ready in the room today? Yes? No? There we are, one there. Right, do remember, and I've said this before, I've done a lot of charity events over the years. My wife's always been bidding and buying stuff that we can't afford, but we've had some great memories because of that. And as we say, don't think about what you're getting for your money. Think about the charities getting your money, and as a bonus, you're getting a gift, and the gift is the lot. Right, without further ado then, first lot up is your chance for a 3-night stay for 2 people in the wonderful Hotel Indigo Grand Hotel del Arts in Verona, and 2 tickets for the opera. It's a 3-night stay. The tickets for the opera, we went there only 2 years ago, never been there before. We had a wonderful time and stayed in this very hotel. So, who fancies spoiling someone at Christmas? Someone start me at £1,000 for this lot. Anybody at £1,000? 3 nights, hotel. We got a bid there, thank you very much. We got a bid there with the tickets for the opera as well. Do we have 1,100 somewhere else? 1,100 here. 1,200 down there, is it? We got 1,100 here. 1,200 anywhere. 1,200, yep, I can't see. 1,200 we got there. Put your hand up, I can't see you. 1,200. 1,300 anywhere else? 1,300 over here. 1,300 over here, anywhere at all. We got 1,200 then, £1,300. At £1,300, anybody else? At £1,300, it's not a lot of money for that lot. Anybody else then? £1,400. At £1,300, are we done there? Surely not at £1,300. At £1,300 is the bid down here. 1,400 there. 1,400 there. We've got 15 somewhere. Come on, £1,500 somewhere. 3 nights in Verona and the opera tickets. Wonderful lot. It's a great, great city. See the balcony where Romeo and Juliet are supposed to have been set. Wonderful, wonderful medieval city. Come on, £1,500 somewhere. 1,400 we got. 15 anywhere. At £1,400, it's not enough. At £1,400, 15 somewhere. At £1,400, it'll be done. At £1,400. At £1,400, where's my podder going once? £1,400 going twice. At £1,400 then. That's the best we've got. You've got the number down there and the name? Thank you, thank you. Lot 2 is the Michelin-starred Hyde Park private dining experience for 6 people. This is Ollie Dubois, is that how you pronounce that? Michelin-starred Ollie at the Hyde, overlooking Hyde Park. Great views. And this is the 7-course tasting menu for 6 people. 6 people, 12 courses. What's it worth? Got to be worth... Can you guys hear me over there? We can hear you. And whatever you want to put your money where your mouth is. Why don't you want to start me at £600? Anybody over there at £600? No. £600 down here, thank you, sir. 700 anywhere. 700 there. 8 can we say? 700 there. 8 anywhere. 800 there now at £800. 900 anywhere. Let's get 900 for it somewhere. £900 anywhere. 900 there. Well done, sir. What can we say? 1,000 down here. £1,000 against you, sir. 1,100, is it? We got 1,000 there. 1,100. Still less than 100 quid. We got 1,000 there. 1,100 there. 12, sir. 1,100. No, he's got his back turned. It's £1,000 down there. Who's got 1,100 anywhere else? 1,100 there. 12, can we say? £1,200 down there. We've got against you, sir. At 1,200 here. Do you want to go 13? 13. 1,200 it is, down here at £1,200. Ladies bid, it looks like, at £1,200, sir. Ladies bid, you're out at 1,200 then. It's 1,200 here, 1,300 there, new bidder, thank you. At £1,300, £1,400 if you like. At £1,300, it's bid there. Is that another bid or same table? Is that another bid? Yes? No, it's not. 1,400 there, is that? 1,400 there. 1,400, 15 anywhere. 1,400 there then. Selling once, 15 now, back in at £1,500. 14, order. £1,500 there. 16, madam. At £1,500 then, are we done then? £1,500, it bids over here at 1,500 going once. 1,600 now. Ladies back in. Against you all at 1,600. 1,600, the quiet down here, £1,600. 17 over here anywhere. 1,600 we've got. 17 there. 17. 18 is it? 17 we got now. 1,800 if you like. That's £1,700. It's there going once. That's £1,700. It's there going twice. Your last chance then. That's £1,700. Sold. Thank you. Lot 3, only got 2 more lots. At lot 3 now, we've got a hand-signed England Rugby Union shirt. Thank you very much, Denzel. Signed a rugby shirt there with a certificate of authenticity as well. Where should we start for this one? Kindly donated by Erwin Mitchell. Hand-signed, current team, who start me at £300 for it. £300 somewhere. All the rugby there. £300 anywhere for the rugby shirt. 300 there. 300 we've got. 400 anywhere. At £300 for it. £300 anymore. At £300. Is that all? Going once at £300. 400 somewhere. At £300 and going once. £300 going twice. It's your last chance at £300. Sold down here. And last lot of the evening. There's another reason they call me John the Hammer. Lot 4. It's the spacious deluxe room here at the famous, world famous Landmark Hotel. Overnight stay here, sir. Overnight stay here on Marylebone Road. You get for breakfast as well, the garden restaurant, complimentary access, the hotel spa, etc. Someone stuck me £300 for it. Overnight stay here in deluxe room with breakfast. Someone stuck me at £300 for it. £300 anywhere for it. 300 there, thank you, sir. 400 anywhere. At £300 there. £300, £350 then. Will that help? We got 300 there. £350 anywhere? At £300 in. Maiden bid of £300. Are we done? Are we done there? £300. £350 at the back. 400, sir? Against you now at £350. Want 400, sir? No. It's at £350 at the back then. £350 will be done there. At £350 going once. Let £350 going twice. 400, well done, sir, back in there now. Against you at the back at 400 here. 450, can we say? At 400 here, 450. Thank you, sir. Back of the room, 450. Would you like to go 5, sir? He's thinking about it. Is it 400 there? 450 there? 500, sir? No. Is it 450 then? Back wall at 450. At 450. 5 there. 5 are here, down there. Down at the end of the room, we got £500. Ladies' table again. £500. Against you at 500. It's down here on this back wall at £500, sir. Going once. Going twice for the stay at the hotel. Twice. Last chance then. Down here, £500. Sold. Thank you very much. That concludes the evening. Thank you all. I've had a wonderful evening. I hope you have too. And maybe I'll see you again sometime. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together in a show of appreciation for Mr. John Cameron. Now, finally, it's time to pick our lucky raffle winner from all your gold envelope entries. To help us do this, please welcome back to the stage Mr. John Cameron.
You don't like me, do you?
Now,
right.
How's this working? Oh, here we are.
What's this for? This is for the Fortnum & Mason hamper. Was it? And the winner is my wife. And the winner is table 15. Where's table 15? There. At table 15, Glenn Hodgson. We're going to come and get it.
Brilliant. Congratulations, Glenn. You can collect that at the foyer, I believe, afterwards. Thank you. And thank you to John. So we're almost at the end of what has been another inspirational celebration of improving life after brain injury. I sincerely hope that, like me, you have been moved by what you have seen and heard today. Remember, there is still time to contribute to Headway's work to support those affected by brain injury by making a donation via the envelopes on your tables or through the Headway website. There's just time for me to say a few thank yous. Firstly, to our sponsors, without whom it would not have been possible to put on today's event. A round of applause, please, for our sponsors. Thank you also to James Cracknell and to John Cameron for their help with the ceremony and auction, respectively. Thank you so much, guys. To Chris and Annie Richardson and Susan McAleese, thank you for being here today to help present the awards in memory of your sons, Alex and Stephen. Thank you so much. A huge thank you to the brilliant Dave Thomas, not only for giving your time to be here today and to speak with us, but also for your determination to raise funds and awareness of brain injury. Dave, thank you very much indeed. And thank you also to everyone, of course, who donated raffle prizes and auction lots, and to those who bid on them or made a donation to the charity today, thank you. Thank you for your generosity. We have raised so many £1,000s here today during this afternoon's event. This will go towards funding the essential services that Headway provides. Thank you all for your generosity. But finally, and deliberately saving the best for last, our incredible finalists. Please would you put your hands together in a show of respect, gratitude and sheer admiration for Mark Hewitt, Dudley Garner, Mark Kennedy, Michelle Kelly, Beth Henderson, Nicola Strong, Richard Cardy, Michael Condon, Peter McDade, Dee Blackwell, Chris Case and Dean Harding. And so, on behalf of the Chair and Trustees of Headway UK, I would like to thank you all for your support and wish you a safe journey home and a very Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.